evening, everyone. I'd like to call the May 5th annual town meeting to order. We do have a quorum. We have 85 town meeting members who have checked in. First, I'd like to ask anyone to please silence any devices you have so that we're not ringing while we're having town meeting. Then I would ask you to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And if you could please stay standing for a minute. Thank you. So at our annual town meeting, we take a moment of silence for those town meeting members who we lost the past year. So these town meeting members passed away in 2025. So we'll take a moment of silence after I read their names. Patricia M. Westerland, Robert L. Platukis, Chester S. Stencil Jr., Ronald E. Prouty, Joan E. Calvary, Joseph E. Bernardi, Stephen E. Byland, and Carl Edward Westerman. If we could have a moment of silence, please. Thank you. The first order of business will be to check your clickers to make sure everything's working properly. So we do have a test question, if we're ready. Can we see it on the screen? We can. The test question is, it's now 6:15. We'll be done by 7 p.m. If everyone could vote just to check that their clickers are working. 2 more. We're good, thank you. I just wanted to recognize a couple of our dignitaries who are here. Senator Michael Moore is in the back, and I believe Representative Frost was out in the hall earlier. So, thank you. The first thing we need to do is adopt a procedure. Per the Auburn, Town of Auburn Charter, Section 5.03, under procedure. I'll read the article and then we recommend the motion. All representative town meetings shall be opened to the public. Any registered voter of the town who is not a town meeting member may, subject to the conditions as a town meeting may determine, speak at least once on any matter at such meeting, but he shall have no vote. So as your moderator, I am recommending that the town meeting members adopt the following policy. Only town residents are allowed to speak, because that's what it says in our charter. Residents are not allowed to ask questions of town meeting members or staff. Residents can speak once per article. Residents can speak after town meeting members have spoken. And residents will have 2 minutes to speak per article. That is the recommended motion. Is it up on the screen? Is there a motion? We've got a motion. Is there a second? We have a second. Is there any discussion on the adoption of this procedure for allowing residents to speak at town meeting? Well then, please vote. All set? So that passes 81-2 with one abstention. So that will be the policy for town meeting for allowing residents to speak. So, let's move on. I'm sorry, where's Article 1, to hear from the boards and commissions. So that would be the, I don't have it in front of me. Article 1, to hear the reports of the Finance Committee, of the town offices and committees, or act on anything relative thereto. Is there a motion? Just motion it. Is there a second? We have a second. We're going to hear from the town manager. Okay. We'll hear from the Board of Selectmen first.
Thank you. Good evening. The Auburn Select Board makes the following recommendations on the 2026 Annual Town Meeting warrant articles. Articles 3 through 27, the Select Board voted to recommend approval of these articles. Article 1, the Select Board voted to take no position. In Article 2, the Select Board voted to defer to the petitioner on this article. The Auburn Select Board, Ann Kavanaugh Chair, Todd Corain Vice Chair, Dan Carpenter, Stephen Chambers, and Sarah Ruffley.
Thank you. Now we'll hear from the Finance Committee, Chairman Kennedy.
Good evening. I'm Kevin Kennedy. I'm the Chairman of the Finance Committee. The Auburn Finance Committee makes the following recommendations on the 2026 Annual Town Meeting warrant articles. Articles 2 through 19, 21 through 23, and 27. The Finance Committee voted to recommend approval of these articles. Article 1, the Finance Committee voted to take no position on this article. In Articles 20 and 24 through 26, the Finance Committee voted to defer to the petitioner on these articles. Signed, the Auburn Finance Committee, Kevin Kennedy Chair, Michael Marshall Vice Chair, Stephen Consiglio, George Graham, Patrick Jones, Trevor Sansucci, and Andrew Sharp. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other committee reports? Seeing none, we'll move on to Article 2. Ms. Ethia.
Article 2, I move that the town meeting vote to fix the salary and compensation of elected town officers for the fiscal year 2027 as follows. Town moderator, $296. Select board chair, $1,740. Select board 4 members, $6,097. And town clerk, $93,000.
Is there a second? We have a second. This is a simple majority. Are there any questions? Seeing none, please vote. The article passes 80, that just went off my screen, 87 to 2, 84 to 2 to 1. Article 3, we'll hear from the town manager to have a report before we read the article, and then we'll read the article and hear from the CFO.
Thank you so much. So I think some of you that were at the pre-town meeting are already aware of this, but I think it's really important to go through this again. The budget process this year was much different than it's been done in the past. department heads were asked to make budget requests based on their need and what they wanted, what they needed to ensure upward mobility within their departments. The requests were submitted to the Board of Selectmen and the Finance Committee so that those two committees could see what departmental requests were. The amounts were not changed to match my budget recommendation as town manager. My budget recommendation is based on contractual agreements, funding that I anticipate in fiscal year 27. And just because a department is not funded by my request, it does not reduce the significance of what was requested. If possible, I would have certainly funded all of the requests. The first step that I was given for improved budget focusing on actual expenditures and transparency. If you look at your budget books, you'll see financial documents, the budgets. They're a little bit different. We added a line item or a column for actual expenditures year to date. That year to date amount is from July 1st last year to January of this year. So it's approximately half a year. We supplied a funding sheet in the budget books as well, and also in the warrant, the town meeting warrant. Next year, we will incorporate those funding sheets into the actual budget. So we still have some room to go, some things to do to improve our process. We supplied actual departmental requests for transparency. The reason we did that is because in the past, departmental requests would always match the town manager's request. In reality, that's not how the process works. The Board of Selectmen gave me priorities when I started out. They were to try to keep the increase in tax levy below 2.5%, use free cash versus capital, use free cash for capital versus tax levy to decrease the amount of tax levy needed, to prioritize DPW and Auburn Public Schools, and to provide additional detail from each department to include discretionary and non-discretionary spending. And also to provide actual departmental requests versus matching the department with the town manager recommendations, which I've already mentioned. The town manager recommended operating budget is $86,035,685. The departmental budget requests were $87,779,451. It's approximately $1.7 million less than what my department's requested. So my recommendation to you, to the Board of Selectmen, to Finance was $1.7 million less than what my department's requested. And that was because we just don't have the money to do everything we want to do. The budget recommendation raises taxes by 2.21%, which is approximately $169,000 short of the allowable 2.5% under Proposition 2.5. This increases the excess levy capacity under this budget scenario, which is approximately $9.4 million. The budget recommendation considers the following challenges. We had an increase of 13.2% in health insurance costs. I'm sure most of you are familiar with this. If you're working, everyone's going through the same thing. That cost is $1.2 million that was added to our budget just starting out from scratch. We had over $500,000 increase in retirement expenses, a $300,000 increase in the Bay Path assessment, and we have a solid waste contract that's expiring on 6/30/26. The departmental requests that were unfunded, 4 patrol officers and a sergeant was not funded in this budget. $300,000 for supervisors for the fire department was not funded in the budget. An assistant director of DDIS and a full-time library associate in Page. The budget did include the following: the collective bargaining agreements for all unions, a 2% COLA for all non-represented employees, the increase of the health insurance of $1.2 million, the increase in the retirement of $500,000, the increase in the Bay Path assessment of $300,000. It also includes an increase of 7% for the solid waste contract that's expiring in June of this year. It included the proper funding of fleet maintenance, supplies, and services by an increase of $120,000. If you've watched any finance committee meetings over the past couple years, this is a constant in April, May, and June of every year to transfer funds into those accounts. This will adequately fund those. Through Finance Committee and Board of Selectmen recommendations, there was also an increase of 2 DPW laborers, 2 part-time interns for Department of Public Works, and the OpenGov module for DPW. And what that does is it ties the program and the permitting process in DPW with Town Hall. So with our DDIS department, we'll be working from the same software program. There won't be a duplication of efforts, and it will save time and ensure that permitting process is more fluid. I now will bring up Karen Harnois, the Chief Financial Officer, with her presentation.
Good evening. I'll be giving a little bit more of a detailed presentation on the fiscal 27 projected budget. So as an overall summary, the total appropriations are $91.8 million. The revenue sources are made up of local receipts, cherry sheet receipts, the tax levy, some debt exclusions, and other available funds, which also total $91.8 million. So this budget that's being presented is a balanced budget with the excess levy capacity, as the town manager had mentioned, at $9.4 million, which is utilizing 2.21% of Prop 2.5.
Sure.
We have IT upstairs working on the projection.
Okay, so the revenues versus the expenses. So we're looking at the local receipts are down just slightly, 1.49%. Cherry sheet receipts are the state aid that we get, and it's only up 1.43%, which is projected for 27. The tax levy is projected at 4.03%, which is the combination of the 2.21% and the new growth. We have debt exclusions, which are down slightly. Available funds are up 101%, which we'll talk about that. That's due to the use of the free cash. And again, the total revenue for fiscal 27 projected at $91.8 million and appropriations at $91.8 million. Just a little bit of the breakdown on the tax levy. The tax levy base for fiscal 27 was the levy limit from the prior year, just over 59 million. The 2.5% increase, 1.475%. We add new growth at 700,000, which is consistent and conservative based upon the prior years, which would give us a levy limit of 61.2 million. But because we're not taxing up to the levy limit, the projected levy is 51.777 million, which is 84.59% of the levy limit. Just looking a little bit at the local receipts, this is the detail of what makes up the local receipts. The biggest portions being the motor vehicle excise. And also you can see in here some of the enterprise funds. This is where the revenue and the indirect costs are reflected, which gives us a total projected of 13.567 million. Now the funding source of the other available funds. And here you can see that the biggest difference this year is that the budget has $2.8 million worth of free cash, but that's being used towards the capital budget. It's not being used towards operations. Some of the other bigger items in here are also the ambulance at 2.3 million, which is covering some of the operations and capital for a total of 6.1 million. Cherry sheet receipts, as I had mentioned, was just up slightly. Unfortunately, only a little bit of an increase. Instead of prior years, we had some additional monies. It's estimated at 18.891 million. So this is just looking at it in chart form. Total fiscal year 27 revenue estimated at 91.8 million. The biggest piece being the tax levy, and then the state aid, local receipts, available funds, and the debt exclusion. Next is the budget summary, which breaks down by department. And as the town manager had mentioned in her presentation, this is the total operating budget at just over $86 million. There's a couple of other items that are included in our budget, which are abatements, the cherry sheet charges and offsets, which come from the state. And then the other items that are listed here will be our capital improvement plan. As you can see, the biggest part funded by free cash and some of the other funding sources that we'll look at in a future slide. There's a couple of the other articles, warrant articles that are listed in here, the Medicaid and the foster care for the school. And there's a warrant article for the assessors for total appropriations of the 91.8 million. And this is the graph form of all of the appropriations that are being proposed for FY27, with the biggest portion being education at 39.42%. We have employee benefits, which we've seen a large increase in our health insurance costs from fiscal 26 to 27. We have public safety, public works, general government, some other offsets, and then some of the other areas, coming up to the 91.8 million. We move on to our CIP budget. The recommended budget for fiscal 27 is just over $5 million, and that's to be funded by free cash, mostly the 2.8 million. Projected borrowings of just under $1 million at 985,000. The sewer capital is going to be funded by sewer retained earnings. The golf course, the Packagug capital will be funded by the golf retained earnings. We have an ambulance that's going to be funded from ambulance proceeds. We have some funds coming from our CIP trust. 200,000 from stabilization, which is consistent with the prior year, and some money for cemetery capital that's being covered by perpetual care for a total of $5 million CIP budget. And just in summary, we have revenues and expenses at 91.8 million, utilizing 2.21% of the 2.5. Dollar amount below 2.5 is $169,000, and we're presenting a balanced budget for fiscal year '27. Thank you.
Thank you to the town manager and the CFO for those presentations. We do have one more presentation from our superintendent for the school department, but I just wanted to take a minute to let town meeting members know that this will be Dr. Chamberlain's last town meeting. She's retiring in June, so we want to wish her well in her last town meeting. And I also want to recognize longtime school committee chairman Jess Harrington, who is stepping down after 12 years. Now we'll have our presentation from Dr. Chamberlain.
Good evening, everyone. That was a little bit of a surprise, much appreciated. I have very much enjoyed my tenure here in Auburn, and I will miss many, many wonderful people here, so thank you. What am I pressing now? What am I in? This? Yep. Oh, there we go. As we do always, we are focused with our mission, our vision, and our commitment, making sure that we're supporting all of our students to reach their full potential in whatever way they can. We are guided by our strategic plan focused on teaching and learning, health, wellness, and safety, and certainly our community partnerships, which mean everything to the Auburn Public Schools. This year's school committee priorities included maintaining appropriate class sizes, continuing to focus on anti-bullying initiatives, training and resources, certainly focusing on the social and emotional health of our kids, which has been a paramount kind of focus over the last few years. We have to make sure our contractual obligations are met and that the faculty, staff, and students feel respected and supported, and that all of you know that we respect the ongoing financial support we receive for these many years. Just as an overall view, you'll see our historical enrollment since 2018 has gradually declined. Auburn is not alone in this. This is a trend across the state, seemingly based on lower childbirths. But we are seeing a decrease in our overall enrollment, and likewise, a pretty dramatic increase in our special education enrollment, much of that due to better testing, better diagnoses, and that kind of thing. Some considerations that went into this budget: we've adjusted our staffing levels to meet the needs of the town. This budget is going to come in at a 3.92% increase. Our initial budget was at 4.19. We have adjusted to meet and be part of the town and making sure that we're meeting their requirements. So we look at keeping our class sizes appropriate at each of the levels. We have several positions that are not being filled this year, 6 in total, and some support staff that will decrease. I'm going to talk a little bit more in a moment about our Title I funding. We've been notified that we may see a significant decrease in our Title I grant funding, which is a federal grant in the coming year. That's yet to be fully determined. We'll know more of that after July 1 when the funds actually come in. But we have based these deductions on our enrollment, and we believe that we're going to be able to continue to support our students in the manner in which they deserve to be supported. There are no new positions reflected in this budget. We used our October 1st enrollment, as we do always. Chapter 70 funding increased by only 1%, which is minimal. Our special education circuit breaker reimbursement, we do that at about 70%. That's a typical way we calculate what we may get back in circuit breaker reimbursement. We've projected our Medicaid reimbursement at $170,000. And again, our Title I grant funding is likely to decrease by $150,000, but that's yet to be seen. There's still a lot that could happen with that. We've level funded all other grant monies, including the FY26 amounts for the 240 grant, which is the IDEA grant to support students with special needs, Title II grant, and the Title II grant for offsets. All of our school-based materials and supplies have been nearly level funded. That's a 4-year trend since I've been in this position, and as you all know, the cost of everything is going up. So while it's been level funded, we've really taken a decrease in that area because of the cost of materials. We'll be using $200,000 in bus application fees to offset this budget, and we use offsets from other revolving accounts, including building rentals, our satellite and Galaxy after-school programs, our preschool program, music and fine arts, athletic, and our tuition revolving accounts. We've budgeted for 87 school choice spots, for which we receive $5,000 per student, and that funding is used to offset costs at our middle and high school. We've accounted for an anticipated 5% increase in special education private school tuitions. We do have a number of students who are outplaced because we cannot appropriately support their needs in the schools. That 5%, we get that amount from the state as far as what we should budget as an increase. And all contractual obligations for staff has been noted in this budget. We are just wrapping up negotiations with our custodial staff, our custodial union, and our secretarial and instructional assistant bargaining units. Our solar rooftop arrays help offset some of our electricity costs. Oil price per gallon has been 2.6972 for FY26. We are a member of the French River Collaborative, and they're actively looking to get us the best rate we can for that. There may be a reserve left from this past year that will help us out in that way. And we also collaborate with the town for our electric and gas utilities, and that is also in process. So we don't have those numbers quite yet. So as you know, a couple of years ago, we had some students that some migrant students that came to Auburn, and we received a significant amount of additional funding for those students. That is all complete. Our special education enrollment continues to rise, as I said earlier. We now have 2 residential placements, which we've never had previously. So there is an increased level of need of some of our kids. We never know until the middle of the summer with what we'll actually get for our 240 grant and our Title I funding. So we're waiting on that. Our Chapter 70 funding, we do have a pretty good number on that now, and all of our utilities are going out to bid. So there is still a lot of moving parts with this budget, but we feel pretty good about where we landed. So we present to you tonight a budget of $33,968,107. This is about a $1.2 million increase over the FY26 budget. This utilizes projected offsets of $3,685,802, and it's a 3.92% increase over last school year, or the current school year. And I do want to again express my gratitude to all of you for the support over these many years. We really are. We have a great staff, great teachers who are committed to our kids. We are very respectful and thankful for the support that you provide to us. And I always end with the quote, history will judge us by the difference we make in the lives of everyday children. So thank you so much.
Thank you. So that is your 2027 budget presentation. I thank town administration, the school department, school committee, our finance committee, and our board of selectmen. This didn't happen overnight. A lot of hard work and months went into this. So we are now ready to vote on our budget. Article 2.
Article 2.
I'm sorry, Article 3. Article 3.
I'm
My
sorry.
mistake.
Article 3, I move that the town meeting raise and appropriate, transfer from available funds, or otherwise provide for and appropriate to pay town debts and charges for the ensuing year, the several sums of money in the proposed budget as stated in the recommendation of finance columns on pages 17 through 43, inclusive of the Town of Auburn FY 2027 budget and annual town meeting warrant, totaling $86,035,685, and to raise said sum by transferring from available funds $15,000 from cemetery lots and graves, $50,000 from pension reserve, $5,000 from wetlands fund, $30,000 reserved for appropriation dog licenses, $50,000 reserved for appropriation Casella host agreement, $1,787,183 from reserve for appropriation ambulance, $35,000 from overflow trash bags, $40,401.81 from high school, middle school debt reserve, $25,000 from perpetual care, $10,869.68 from insurance reimbursements under $20,000, 261008, and $50,000 from outfront media donation, and by raising and appropriating the balance of such funds from the tax levy or otherwise providing for the balance of said funds, each total amount as printed in the recommendation of Finance Committee columns of the 2027 budget to be considered a specified department appropriation, and further that the Finance Committee is authorized to transfer between the individual accounts which total any specific appropriations when requested by a department, and the committee feels such transfer is in the best interest of the town.
Do I have a second? We have a second. Are there any questions on Article 3? Please give your name and your precinct number. Is that mic on? Can you just, no.
Jerry Balan, Precinct 4. In the budget, when we go to the Bay Path, it looks like 3 years ago, 2024, it was 1.5 million. And this year, it's going to be budgeted almost 2 million, which is about 35% increase. Is that because of additional students are going there, or Bay Path fees have increased that much?
Thank you. That's actually a combination of two. It actually is an increase in the students, but it also is an increase in the foundation budget. And there's a lot of items that go into that. It's a calculation that's done at the state level. So it's those two things together that are causing the increase in our assessment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Largess?
Oh.
Danny Largess, Precinct 4. This wetlands account, where'd this money come from? What was it designed for? And how come I've never heard about this before?
Do you want to take that one?
Sure,
Thank you.
I could. Oh,
Mr. Garland, our Conservation Commission Chairman, is going to take that question.
How's that? The Conservation Commission collects fees so that we can hire consultants to evaluate projects that are presented to the commission. And so we've had a capital fund consisting of these fees for some time. So that's where the money comes from.
Okay, so why are we moving it to a salary? It kind of, town meeting votes for funds going to different things, and it's like, okay, now there's money left over, so we'll just move it to something else. Is this?
I can't answer that, sir.
No?
Well, our CFO will answer that question.
I could answer that. So the funds that go into the wetlands account, there is a salary that's split between like 3 different parts. It's conservation and the planning and zoning, and there's like four different parts of that. And one fourth of the salary is charged directly to the wetlands. And this 5,000 that's in the budget right now is for clerical support for the conservation piece.
Okay, so is it, we're calling it wetlands, is it to protect the wetlands? Is it to?
So what happens is that there are fees that are mandated by the state. There are application fees, and they are payable. Some go to DEP, some fees go to the town, and then those funds are available to us if we need to hire a consultant to evaluate a project, sir.
Okay, I'm just kind of lost. It seems like we keep shuffling money around, and it kind of seems like a giant money laundering situation here in this town.
I certainly would disagree with that. I think I'm going to ask the Yes, I'll ask the town manager to address that. We're not laundering money. Yeah, come on, stand up.
And sir, just to your point, applicants pay those funds, so that's money that's coming into the town.
Okay, all right,
Thank you.
thank you.
And to answer your question, this has been an item that's budgeted for several years now. We pay a quarter of the land use position out of this account. It happens every single year. It's not moving around funds or changing them from different places. This has actually been happening every year.
Are there any additional questions? Please.
Doug Nelson, Precinct 2. I saw 565,000 for permits and fees. I was just wondering where those are coming from. Is that bylaws or charter or a combination of both? And when were those last looked at? I know at some point in the past, we had a group looking to review all of those, and I'm just wondering if it's time again to sharpen the pencil. Thank you.
I think our CFO can take that.
The fees were actually reviewed not that long ago by the Board of Selectmen at one of their meetings. And the fees actually are all the permits and fees, whether they're in the Board of Health or building permits, it's all in that area.
If you can come to the microphone, please, people can't hear you.
I was just curious if that is in bylaws or charter or somewhere else.
It is actually through the town's policy to charge fees for certain services offered by the town.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we're ready to vote. This is a simple majority on this one. Article 3. Just one moment, we have a technical issue in the front. Now he does, yeah. He had no previously. Thank you. Okay. Motion passes 83, 6, and 1. Thank you. Article 4, Ms. Cethia.
I move that the town meeting approve the 5-year capital improvement plan for the town manager, information technology, town clerk, Department of Development and Inspectional Services, police, fire, fleet maintenance, engineering, highway, sewer, cemetery, senior center / elder affairs, library, parks, Auburn Community Television, Packagug Golf Course, and schools as stated on pages 44 through 49 inclusive of the Town of Auburn fiscal year 2027 budget and annual town meeting warrant. And further to approve an appropriation of $5,079,883 to fund the fiscal year 2027 capital improvement program as specified on pages 44 through 49 under the column entitled Finance Committee Recommendation, and to raise said sums by borrowing and appropriating the sum of $50,000 from CIP Expendable Trust, $250,000 from Sewer Enterprise Retained Earnings, $200,000 from stabilization, $600,000 from Ambulance Receipts Reserved, $75,000 from Packagug Golf Course retained earnings, $80,000 from Perpetual Care Expendable Trust, and $2,839,883 from free cash. I also move that the town meeting authorize the borrowing of $985,000 to be payable in not more than the term provided by law for the items as identified in the 5-year capital improvement plan, and any premium received by the town upon the sale of any bonds or notes approved by this vote, less any premium applied to the payment of the cost of issuance of such bonds or notes, may be applied to the payment of costs approved by this vote in accordance with Chapter 44, Section 20 of the general laws, thereby reducing the amount authorized to be borrowed to pay such costs by a like amount. I further move that prior to the purchase, all over-the-road vehicles shall be marked on both front door panels as property of the town of Auburn for official use only, and have a permanently affixed town seal, that the expenditure of funds so appropriated shall be under the direction of the chief procurement officer of the town of, the expenditure of funds so appropriated shall be under the direction of the chief procurement officer of the town or school department.
Thank you. Do I have a second? We have a second. Do we have questions? This is a borrowing article, so this is a 2/3 vote. If there are no questions, we can vote. Voting is complete. We have 79 yes, 1 no, and 0 abstentions. The article passes. Articles 5 through 11 are generally standard articles. If you have any questions, certainly we have department heads here to answer them, but they're standard articles, and we'll likely lump them, put them together next year. But we'll go through them individually tonight. Article 5.
I move that the town meeting vote to authorize the town treasurer, with the approval of the Board of Selectmen, to borrow money from time to time in anticipation of revenue to be received during the financial year beginning July 1, 2026, and ending June 30, 2027, and to issue a note or notes that may be given for a period of less than 1 year.
Do I have a second? We have a second. Are there any questions? Seeing none, this is a simple majority. We shall vote. I can take his vote if you'd like. It just went through. Okay. Okay. We'll have the clerk's office check that in just a moment. Ginger, that is a yes vote. It says no. We've got to check his clicker. Thank you. Yep. We just want to make sure everybody has their vote counted accurately. It's still a no. It's because it's closed. Okay. There are 89 yes, 2 no, and no abstention. The article passes. Article 6, Mrs. Ethia.
I move that the town meeting vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to submit applications for any available state or federal funds, including Department of Elder Affairs formula grant funds, which funds the board determines to be beneficial to the town, and to authorize the expenditure of any monies received as a result of said applications.
Is there a second? I see a second. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we shall vote. This is a simple majority as well. Voting is closed. There are 90 yes, 1 no, and 0 abstentions. The article passes. Article 7, Mrs. Ethia.
I move that the town meeting vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to sell at public auction or by sealed bid or at assessed value under special circumstances any properties which the town may have acquired or may hereafter acquire through tax title foreclosure proceedings, and to sign, acknowledge, and deliver in the name and under the seal of the town deeds therefore.
Is there a second? We have a second. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we shall vote. This is a simple majority. Voting is closed. The article passes. 87 yes, 2 no, and 2 abstentions. Article 8, Mrs. Ethia.
I move that the town meeting vote to authorize the town treasurer to enter into compensatory balance agreements during fiscal year 2027 as permitted by Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53F, or any other enabling statute. If voted, this would permit the treasurer to maintain specific sums of money in deposit in banks in return for banking services.
Do we have a second? Mr. Marshall seconds that. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we can vote. This is a simple majority. Voting is closed. Article 8 passes. 90 yes, 0 no's, and 1 abstention. Article 9, Mrs. Ethia.
I move that the town meeting vote to renew revolving funds for various town and school programs in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53D, and Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 71, and for all revolving funds established under General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53E and a half, establish expenditure limits as follows. Sealer of weights and measures, $20,000. Replace lost, damaged textbooks, $5,000. Health flu clinics, $7,500. Pappas Recreational Complex, 1% of the prior year's tax levy. Health medical shops disposal, $5,000. Health nuisance abatement, $15,000. Health compost bins, $5,000. Animal control kennel fees, $12,500. DPW rain barrels, $5,000. Cemetery cremation vaults, $5,000. Septic Title V, $25,000. Firearms licenses, $35,000. COA rental, $15,000. Wiring revolving, $100,000. Gas and plumbing revolving, $100,000. Conservation revolving, $50,000. Parks Department field use, $15,000. Yard waste sticker program, $30,000. Conservation outside consultants, $25,000. Recreation, 1% of prior year's tax levy. EV charging stations, $25,000.
Thank you, Mrs. Ethia. Is there a second? We have a second from Mr. Marshall. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we shall vote. Voting is closed. Article 9 passes 87 yes, 3 no, and 0 abstention. Article 10, Mrs. Ethia.
I move that the town meeting vote to authorize the town manager to enter into a contract or contracts with the Massachusetts Department of Transportation for the construction and maintenance of public highways for the period commencing July 1, 2026 and ending June 30, 2027.
Thank you, Mrs. Ethia. Is there a second? Mr. Marshall seconds. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we shall vote. It's not as exciting as the Kentucky Derby, but we have to wait till everybody votes. Voting is closed on Article 10. The article passes 89 yes, 1 no, and 1 abstention. Article 11, Mrs. Ethia.
I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate from available funds a sum of money if it becomes available from the Massachusetts Department of Transportation, Chapter 90 bond, issue proceeds to be used for the repair and maintenance of town roads in conformance with the Massachusetts general laws.
Is there a second? Mr. Marshall seconds. Are there any questions? Seeing none, this is a simple majority. We shall vote. Voting is closed on Article 11. The article passes 90 yes, 0 no's, and 0 abstentions. Article 12, 13, and 14 are all standard school articles. Certainly, if you have any questions, the superintendent can answer them for you, but they are the standard articles, annual articles. Article 12, Mrs. Ethia.
I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $170,000 from Medicaid receipts within the general fund revenues to the Auburn School Department operating budget for fiscal year 2027 to fund supplies and medical, therapeutic, and educational services for significantly disabled special needs students, as well as tuition and transportation to and from outside placements or within the district for special needs students.
Thank you, Mrs. Cethia. Is there a second? You have a second for Mr. Marshall? Are there any questions? Seeing none, simple majority, we shall vote. Voting is closed on Article 12. Article 12 passes, 87 yes, 0 no, 0 abstentions. Article 13, Mrs. Ethia.
I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $14,815.96, which is the interest earned by the Auburn High School Gymnasium Health and Recreational Trust Fund to offset school department costs at Auburn High School in support of community health and recreational activities at Auburn High School Gymnasium and related facilities and equipment.
Thank you, Ms. Cethia. We have a second from Mr. Marshall. Are there any questions on this article? Seeing none, we shall vote. No worries at all. Okay. All righty, Article 13 passes, yes, 90, 0 no, 0 abstention. Article 14, Mrs. Ethia.
I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $3,551.80 from foster care transportation receipts within the general fund revenues to the Auburn School Department operating budget for fiscal year 2027 to fund transportation costs for students to and from school who are residing in foster care placements during the fiscal year.
Is there a second? We have a second from Mr. Marshall. Are there any questions? No, sorry. We shall vote. Okay. Article 14 passes 91 yes, 0 no, 0 abstention. Article 15, Mrs. Ethia.
I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $30,000 from free cash for the purchase and setup of an access control system for Town Hall and the Merriam Building.
Is there a second? We have a second from Mr. Marshall. Do town meeting members want to hear from town manager on this article? Do we have any questions? Is it ready to vote? No questions on this article? Okay, we shall vote. Just wait for my final numbers. Thank you. Article 15 passes 82 yes, 7 no, and 2 abstentions. Article 16, Mrs. Ethia.
I move that the town meeting vote to raise and appropriate $25,000 from general fund revenues for training, support, and revaluation services.
We have a second from Mr. Marshall. Are there any questions on this article? Please. Name and precinct, please.
Hi, Jeff Hesselton, Precinct 5. What does this training consist of?
Our IT specialist, no, our assessor will take this.
The assessor's warrant article is to primarily fund mandatory state compliance activities and professional services that may fall outside the standard operating activities or budget of the daily assessing duties and or are slightly in arrears due mainly to staff shortages, additional work requests, unusually large numbers of motor vehicle bills, exemptions, inquiries, and administration of the HEROES Act. So basically inspections, appraisals, analysis, things like that.
So appraisals and inspections through the assessor's office. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, we shall vote. This is a simple majority. Article 16 passes 80 yes, 9 no, and 1 abstention. Article 17, Mrs. Ethia, please.
I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $14,079 from free cash to the Conservation Commission Wetlands Fund, account number 261019, to replenish the fund for the land use coordinator salary.
We have a second from Mr. Marshall. Do we have questions on this article? Mr. Largess.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Daniel Largess, Precinct 4, but
Mr. Largess, will you just move your mic up a bit so we can hear you?
I said, please
There you
correct
go.
me if I'm wrong, but about 30 minutes ago, didn't we just take the money out of the wetlands account and now we're putting it back into the wetlands account?
Our CFO will take that.
If I could, so this is actually a correction from fiscal year '25. So a portion of the salary, the land use coordinator salary was charged directly to the fund. Plus it was also transferred to the general fund. So there was a duplication. So when we found the error, the general fund owes that money back to the fund for fiscal '25.
What is the balance on this account?
Give me just 1 second. The balance in the account is $56,460. So the $14,000 will be going back into the fund.
Okay, just a little confused at this. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you satisfied with your answer, Mr. Largess? Okay. Any further questions? Seeing none, we shall vote. This is a simple majority. Article 17 passes, 83 yes, 8 no, and 0 abstentions. Article 18.
I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $314,000 from free cash to fund the purchase and installation of a new generator and all expenses related thereto at Auburn High School.
Is there a second? Are there any, Mr. Marshall, second that? Are there any questions? Seeing none. Yep, one. While you're coming down, I'll just say that they did yeoman's work getting this at $314,000.
Hi, Jeff Heselton, Precinct 5. Is there already a generator there? Is it did the generator die out, or is it something new that's going into the school?
Dr. Chamberlain will take that question.
So the generator that was in place was the generator from the old high school. They didn't replace it when they built the new high school. Yep. It has now lasted another 20 years. We now are on a temporary generator, unfortunately.
Okay.
We tried to make some repairs at the start of the year, and they couldn't find the parts anymore for it.
Okay.
So that's why we need a new one.
All right, thank you.
Thank you for asking.
Are there any other questions on Article 18? Seeing none, we shall vote. Okay. Article 18 passes, 89 yes, 0 no, 0 abstentions. Article 19, Mrs. Ethia, please.
I move that the town meeting vote to amend the acceptance of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5K, by allowing an approved representative to perform services to the town for an eligible taxpayer under who is physically unable to provide services to the town.
Is there a second? We have a second from Mr. Marshall. This is a Board of Selectmen article. Are there any questions? Mr. Crane? You can come down here if you want. The Board of Selectmen will take this question. Mr. Crane.
Todd Crane, Precinct 3, Board of Selectmen. So currently, the town offers a work-off program for seniors so that they can essentially work a certain amount of hours and get credits towards their tax property. We have a similar thing for veterans, and under state law, the veterans allow, if they're unable to work on their behalf, someone can work for them. And under state law in Massachusetts, seniors have the same program, but the town has to accept that program. So this, by town meeting voting for this, it will allow seniors who are unable to do the work themselves. They could have a child, a close relative, et cetera, do the work for them so that they get the tax benefit.
Are there any further questions? Seeing none, Ginger, we're going to vote. Article 19 is a simple majority. Yep. Is all set? Yep, I see it. Is there anyone else who wishes to vote? Seeing none, voting is closed. Article 19 passes 89 yes, 0 no, one abstention. I've just been informed by our town council. If you wish to take photos or videos here at town meeting, you should inform the town meeting members that they are being videotaped and still pictures being taken. Okay, Article 20.
I move that the town meeting vote to amend Chapter 14, Section 14.03 of the general bylaws by inserting two new sections, 14.031B and 14.031C as follows. B, if applicable, no person may apply for a land disturbance permit without first receiving a building permit from the town. C, if applicable, the building permit fee shall be tripled if any land disturbing activities are performed prior to the issuance of a building permit.
Do I have a second? I have a second from Mr. Marshall. Do we have any questions on this? This is a Board of Selectmen article. We have two. Mr. Murray after this one.
David Engstrom, Precinct 4. I'm just a little confused. Is this just for new buildings, residential and commercial, or does this also include clearing up property lines and stuff like that of vegetation?
Thank you. Did you hear that question, Mr. Crane?
I did.
Mr. Crane will take that question.
Todd Crane, Precinct 3, on behalf of the Select Board. So what this is aiming to do is to, currently under the bylaws, developers who are buying parcels and may or may not go through a planning process to do construction are getting land disturbance permits in advance, clear cutting them. And what we've seen in several instances is that either they start the planning process and then abandon it, or they begin the planning process, they get their approvals, and then they never pull their permits. And they're clear cutting these properties, and what's happening is they're remaining in the state, some of them going back a decade. And it's leading to Japanese knotweed and you know, general blight, and you can see it on Southbridge Street. You can see it on Hampton Street. You can see it on Oxford Street North, right near the police station. So what this is aiming to do is to prevent them from buying the parcels, clear cutting them, and leaving them in that state until they get they go through the entire regulatory process. They pull their permits because they intend to do the project, then they can get their land disturbance permit. It's not you clearing some trees on your yard, that kind of stuff.
Mr. Murray, did you have a question?
Jeff Murray, Precinct 3. So I don't think that's a practical approach to do that. that it'd be necessary to have a building permit prior to developing the land. Right now, you know, there's various boards in place with wetland protection, planning board. They have the ability to enforce those through the building department or the zoning enforcement official without issuing a building permit. It's not, you know, if you wanted to build a subdivision, you can't receive a building permit until you bring that subdivision to bind a course of pavement. So it kind of conflicts with existing development or zoning bylaw or general bylaw that already exists. So I would think that there'd be another avenue that they could follow to, you know, if there were wetlands issues where somebody went in and had some type of an impact and there was mitigation that needed to be put in place, the town would be able to do that, go out and contract for those services, and then place a municipal lien on the property to do that. It doesn't seem like a very practical way to go about doing it, requiring a building permit first.
Thank you. Oh, we have a question. Mr. Lindblom?
Mark Lindblom, Precinct 5. I'm all for this. When they're talking about these issues, if you drive down, again, Route 20 eastbound and you go past Technology Drive, and you'll see the area where Eastland Partners had clear-cut that whole property. That's 6, 7, 8 years now that place has been stripped right up to the edge of the mobile home park, where, again, those people get to look at all the crap that Eastland Partners left behind, and nothing has been done in that vicinity for quite a few years. And they've done it to other locations as well. So I do respect and hope this does pass. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions or comments? Mr. Nelson?
Doug Nelson, Precinct 2. So just to reiterate, this is not going to affect homeowners or, you know, landowners in town who are just addressing their property no matter the size. And the other half of that is, does this apply to the town itself and utilities within the town? Thank you.
So I would have to defer on whether it applies to the town or not. I believe, and our DPW director is here, can correct me if I'm wrong, this only applies to those properties that have to apply for a land disturbance permit based on the amount of property that they are disturbing, the amount of trees. And generally it is not residents that are doing some work in their backyard. It is essentially clear cutting of entire parcels that triggers that. But I would defer to our DPW director.
Our DPW director, Ms. Joanna Paquin. Thank you.
Thank you. So yes, the land disturbance permit has thresholds that have to be met before you need a land disturbance permit. This bylaw basically looks at development that has a large amount of disturbance. So in a typical single-family home, this would have no bearing.
Are there any further questions? Mr. Nelson?
Looking at the article in the pamphlet here, I don't see those thresholds spelled out anywhere. Does anyone have that actual number for us?
Those are in the existing bylaw, so we would have to have somebody pull up the existing bylaw to give you those thresholds.
Okay, so that's just going to remain as existing?
Yes,
Thank
all
you.
of that remains as existing. We're just inserting the requirement that ties it to the building permit, and then we are inserting the language that doubles the fine if you violate it.
Mr. Lindblom, did you have a question? You have to come up to the mic, sorry. Everyone has to be able to hear you.
Mark Lindblom, Precinct 5. Sorry, it just said triple, not double. I was just raising my hand, that's all.
Thank you for the correction.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions or comments? Seeing none, we'll vote on Article 20. Simple majority vote. We're gonna reset it. Technology.
What we can do?
We're on Article 20. We'll be voting in just a moment. Do you want me to do a show of hands for this one? I'm going to do a voice vote on Article 20. First, I'm going to ask all those opposed on Article 20. Please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3. Please keep your hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. We have 4 noes. Sir, were you voting? Okay. All those in favor? The article passes. Article 21.
Article 21, I move that the town meeting vote to appropriate $27,000 from free cash to replace the roof at the Historical Museum.
Thank you. Is there a second? We have a second. Are there any questions? Any questions on this article? One question, please come up, Mr. Oh my goodness, your name just went out of my head. I know it too. I know his name.
Yeah, my name's Russell Talisman,
Talisman.
Precinct 4. $27,000, that roof isn't that big. How, I just put a new roof on my house for a lot less, and my roof was pretty complicated. How is that number derived, and how are you sending it out to bid? I mean,
Yep. Thank you. I
there's a
think.
lot of contractors that could do it for
Yeah,
less.
and I thank you for the question, and I believe we had the same question at pre-town meeting, so I'm going to ask Ms. Paquin to answer this question. Yeah, you did, thank you.
Yes, thank you. So the project would be, we would be getting quotes as required by Mass General Law. So this is not the price that we are going to be paying. We just got a quote from a contractor just to get a ballpark, but a typical roof on a municipal building is going to cost more than a residential roof because we do need to pay prevailing wages. That usually doubles the project.
So they got, you know, just an idea of what it would be, so they could put it out to bid, and because it's on a municipal building, it's prevailing wages. Are there any other, Mr. Talisman?
So when the town puts something out to
Could you
bid-
speak into the mic so all the town meeting members?
When the town puts something out to bid, that, by prevailing wage, so all the bid work has to go union.
Ms. Paquin?
Yes, anytime that we go out to bid, we ask for a current prevailing wage for the specific project, and that's included in the contract documents.
Thank you. Are there any further questions, comments? No? Thought I saw your hand. Seeing none, we'll vote on Article 21. Simple majority. Just one moment, we want to ensure that everybody can vote. Yes, you're all set. Okay, voting is closed. Article 21 passes 89 yes, 0 no, and 1 abstention. Article 22, Mrs. Ethia.
I move that the town meeting vote to repurpose the unexpended CIP funds appropriated for cemetery flagpoles at the May 2nd, 2023 annual town meeting by amending Article 4 of said meeting as follows. Appropriate $13,879.37 to be used to procure services, supplies, and equipment to expand the Hillside Cemetery.
Is there a second? Mr. Marshall seconds this. Are there any questions on this? Seeing none, we shall vote on Article 22. Voting is closed. Article 22 passes 90 yes, 0 no, 0 abstention. Article 23, Mrs. Ethia, please.
I move that the town meeting vote to accept Nancy Drive as a public way from Vinyl Street to the end of Nancy Drive for a total distance of 1,044 feet, as shown on a plan prepared by B&R Survey Incorporated entitled Street Acceptance Plan prepared for the town of Auburn dated June 10th, 2025, and as filed with the town clerk, and further to authorize the select board to accept deeds and easements for such way, along with any drainage or utility easements ancillary to thereto.
Thank you. Is there a second? We have a second from Mr. Marshall. This is a DPW article. Are there any questions? Mr. Largess.
In the past, we voted on streets that were total disarray. I've gone down there and I feel it's in fair condition, but what would it take cost-wise to bring this up to town standards?
I think she's pulling up the numbers now. Ms. Paquin.
I apologize. I don't have the exact number, but it would be less than $200,000.
Less than $200,000. Are there any further questions? Seeing none, we will vote on Article 23. Voting is closed on Article 23. Article 23 passes a simple majority. It's 62 yes, 21 no, and 8 abstentions. I'm going to ask Mrs. Ethia to read Article 24. I'll get a second, and ask her to read Article 25. I'll get a second. These articles are of the same issue, so we can have a discussion on both articles. This is a citizen's petition. The petitioner is here, and the town manager is also available to answer any questions. So Mrs. Ethia, if you could read Article 24, please.
I move that the town meeting vote to further amend Article 14 of the December 15th, 2003 special town meeting by deleting the following condition, which was made as a condition for acceptance. Delivery of bond acceptable to the Auburn Conservation Commission and the Auburn Planning Board within 14 days of the special town meeting of December 15, 2003, in the sum of $100,000. The bond is to be accepted by the planning board prior to the release of the existing bond on Potter Farm Estates.
I have a second for Mr. Marshall. So we'll vote separately, but we'll discuss both articles. So Mrs. Ethia, can you please read Article 25?
Okay. Article 25. I move that the town meeting vote to accept all the ways in Potter Farm Estates, including Potter Farm Road from South Street to Fox Run Circle for a distance of approximately 2,125 feet. Pine Valley Drive from Potter Farm Road for a distance of approximately 930 feet. Deerfield Circle from Potter Farm Road to the end for a distance of approximately 551 feet. Birchwood Circle from Potter Farm Road to the end for a distance of approximately 415 feet. Cranberry Lane from Potter Farm Road to the end for a distance of approximately 197 feet. Fox Run Circle from Potter Farm Road to Bayberry Lane for a distance of approximately 825 feet. Bayberry Lane from Fox Run Circle to the end for a distance of approximately 390 feet. And further, to authorize the select board to accept deeds and easements for such ways, along with any drainage or utility easements ancillary thereto.
Thank you. Is there a second? Mr. Marshall has a second. We are under discussion on both Article 24 and 25. If you have questions or if you'd like an explanation from the town manager or hear from the petitioner. Mr. Stencil.
John Stencil, Precinct 5. I remember that $100,000 bond was put on there so that we would have leverage over these developers before they finished the roads. They weren't finishing the roads. I don't know why we want to remove that at all. And I think we should vote both of these articles down.
So as the article states, this originally came in front of you back on December 15th, 2003, and these streets were accepted. All of them were accepted. Unfortunately, there was a bond that the developer was supposed to pay back in 2003, and they never did. This is to remove that obligation, so these homeowners who no longer have an association, who no longer have a developer, no longer have that stipulation, that requirement. So it was accepted in 2003. This is just removing a requirement that would actually be put on the homeowners at this point. And there is no association, just to clarify. I think that's it. Any other questions?
Are there any other questions? Please.
Matthew Denham, Precinct 2. So if these roads were accepted back in 2003, have they been taken care of since 2003 and just the $100,000 bond just ignored, I guess?
Good question. The bond was never paid. We maintain the streets to ensure that public safety vehicles can go through. We have done limited work on potholes, on sidewalks, but it has been limited. We do have a request for a stop sign. We didn't move forward and do a stop sign because it is still considered a private street, even though town meeting accepted it back in 2003. This is basically an article to just ensure that the residents in that area don't have to pay something that their developer committed to.
Are there any other questions? Mr. Largess? Oh. We've got,
Yeah, Danny Largess, Precinct 4. If this passes, which I will be voting yes, but if this passes, what is this going to say to builders in the future? Oh yeah, we'll just not pay our bond and off we go.
Mr. Largess, that's a great statement, and I do believe that we're going to be working on very shortly new bylaws that provide stipulations and guidance to developers so that this does not happen again. What they went through over the past several years, actually back to like it's 2003, is ridiculous. We need to protect our homeowners and our residents and work with developers and provide stipulations so this doesn't happen again.
Absolutely, but so what is it going to do? How many in the rears, how many developments are supposed to pay bonds to the town or have bonds to the town that are
I don't know any besides this one. This is the only one I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Marin? Mr. Marin, then Mr. Jones, okay?
Not that it's dragged around, I think we'll be all free, so we don't want homeowners to take it further. But I think it's prudent to say, why do we let the developer get away with this? Do we have a hope to go after them now? Why would this even happen? And I think the town, we deserve an explanation. We certainly don't want the homeowners in that area. I'm not close to it, so it doesn't affect me personally. We wouldn't want anybody to take this burden on. So let's get them off money that. I think we probably will over it. But why do we let this happen? And why do we have a recourse on it?
Okay, Mr. Jones?
I just want to mention we're taking two articles at the same time, and I think it would be prudent to point out that in Article 24, the verbiage 100,000 is actually the old article, so there's no money involved whatsoever. It's just that we had to word the warrant article that way in order to clear it and vote on it. But there is no money. There was, when Tom Andrews said there was no borrowing done, what we're saying is we're just, I believe, saying that we're just clearly providing a warrant article that there's never any borrowing is paid. So that $100,000 that we're seeing isn't something that the town has to come up with as the taxpayers are paying. It's just there because it has to repeat verbiage. So 24 is separate than 25. But my question on 25 is, there was a $200,000 value given to an article a couple back, and there's the very first one I did bring my book up with me, but I think there's 2,125 feet. Is there going to be some additional costs as well? Because that equates to about 400,000, and I just want some clarification. Thank you.
The DPW Director, Joanna Paquin, will answer that question. Please, Mr. Marshall.
I just want to point out that there's some confusion over the holidays. And this is a difference in comparison to the bonds and developer would buy, or a small percentage of total
how we develop the talent to complete that work. The work was done, we would have released the law anyway. This is a very silly argument about what doesn't exist, it doesn't actually matter. I urge you to vote yes, but all it's doing right now is punishing people who live on the streets. You can do this and making a point to a developer who probably doesn't exist because this is 23 years ago. We're all just thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Are there any further comments or questions? We'll first vote on Article 24. We're voting on Article 24. This is a majority vote. Anyone else who wishes to vote? Close it. Okay. The article passes 80 yes, 6 no, 2 abstentions. We'll now vote on Article 25. This is a majority vote. Article 25. Is there someone upstairs in the studio? You going to take care of it? Okay, thank you. We're voting on Article 25. Closed. We closed, okay. Article 25 passes, 72 yes, 13 no, and 3 abstentions. Article 26, I need to make a statement. Article 26, based on advice from the Massachusetts Ethics Commission, I will be recusing myself from this article. This is a home rule petition, and I cannot act on any matter in the purview of a state agency of which I am employed. I will now step down and call on Assistant Moderator Charlie Baker to handle Article 26. Behind you? There you go.
Article 26. I move that the town meeting vote to direct and authorize the select board to petition the general court, Massachusetts State Legislature, for a special act as follows. An act providing for rent regulation and control of eviction in manufactured housing parks in the town of Auburn. Be it enacted by the State and House of Representatives, Senate and House of Representatives in general court assembled and by the authority of the same as follows. Section 1. The town of Auburn, Mass. may, by bylaw, regulate rents for the use of occupancy of manufactured housing parks in said town, establish a rent board or other administrative body, and regulate evictions in such parks. Section 2. The board shall have the authority to establish a maximum allowable rent, review rent increases, and set standards for fair net operating income for park owners in accordance with General Law, Chapter 140, Section 32A to 32S.53. Section 3. This act shall take effect upon its passage. And further, to authorize the Select Board to accept changes to such an act as may be within the scope of the same as may be directed by the legislature.
Is there a second? There is. Are there any questions? Seeing no, then we should do the vote. They didn't. Oh, nobody did? Nobody did. Either. I didn't see anybody. Seriously. Okay. Oh, yes. Took him long enough.
I know, it took him a little bit. He's on the way back.
Good evening, I'm Precinct 1. I was the person who presented this warrant article for the town. Traditionally, the person who presents the warrant article gets to speak on it. So here I am. 2 years ago, an organization, Lawyers for Civil Rights, approached the Auburn Board of Selectmen and said that there was a problem with 2 of the parks in the town. A company in Cherokee, backed by financial investors, bought the parks and raised the rent extraordinarily on these residents to the point where they just couldn't afford it. They testified before the Board of Selectmen on what they were going through. Most of these residents are retirees and people who don't have the best of health, and this is where they've gone to retire. And the testimony, I watched it on video, and the testimony was heart-wrenching. I couldn't believe what was happening to these 2 parks. Later on, I discovered that really nothing had taken place. The lawyer recommended the town move forward with the warrant article. And since nothing happened, I decided to take it upon myself to do such a warrant article. The article was voted favorably on by the Board of Selectmen. It was a unanimous decision. And Finance Committee voted to defer the petition. And I'd like to thank Selectman Todd Crane because he signed the warrant article. And 2 of the gentlemen on the Finance Committee were heard saying that they most
Yeah, you only have so many moments to speak, and I guess you've run out of your moments.
He's a presenter.
Yes, well, I would ask you to suspend that rule and allow me to continue my presentation.
All right.
And 2 of the people on the Finance Committee were heard saying that they would personally vote for this also. Let me just, and I'll try to speed up because I know it's been a long time. This is what the Lawyers for Civil Rights found. Cherokee owns and operates the American Whispering Pine mobile home parks. The parks are largely inhabited by residents living on low and fixed incomes, often due to advanced age and disability. Many of the park residents are retired, disabled, and rely on Social Security savings to meet their monthly expenses.
Numerous others have costly medical conditions that strain their finances. Mobile home communities have long given financially vulnerable people the option to live in a standalone home that is relatively affordable. As the Massachusetts Appeals Court has recognized, these communities provide a viable, affordable housing option to many elderly persons and families of low and moderate income, who are often lacking in resources and deserving of legal protection. The Massachusetts Attorney General has recognized that community park owners generally have the opportunity, these are the park owners, they have the opportunity to exert substantial control over residents who are in an ineffective bargaining position and have no reasonable alternative but to agree to their owners' demands. As a result, the Commonwealth provides special legal protections for mobile home community residents designed to level the playing field and protect them from exploitation. The legislature has passed the Manufactured Housing Act for this purpose. Parakeet has repeatedly ignored and violated the Attorney General's regulations. It has sent a series of communications to the park residents that it knew violated these consumer protections. These actions include, but are not limited to, withholding information and documents that residents were legally entitled to have as they considered new lease and tenancy offers, refusing to provide mandatory 5-year lease offers to the renewing residents, imposing non-uniform rent increases on residents within the same tenant class, subjecting residents to illegal lease provisions, making false and misleading claims as to the nature and terms of lease offers, and charging unconscionable rent amounts that vastly exceed fair market rental rates. They were also sent notices concluded by threatening that if we do not receive a signed new rental agreement from you by a certain date, then your tenancy will be terminated at the end, and you will be required to vacate the premises. Parakeet intentionally obscured its ownership identity through documents that were sent to park residents. The documents failed to list Parakeet's name or that it's resident agent, so the residents did not even know who they were dealing with. These illegal actions have caused these folks to experience increased stress, fear, and anxiety, and exacerbated the mental and physical conditions of the affected residents, and have caused similar emotional distress injuries. And some of the park people who live here are here tonight. If you're here, give yourself a round of applause. Thank you for your indulgence, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Are there any questions? I think, John?
Move the question.
The motion to move the question. All those in favor?
Excuse me, are you voting on what Mr. Rafferty just spoke about?
There's a lady in the back, a resident, that's asking if we are voting on what Mr. Rafferty is doing. You can explain to her what somebody else just made a motion on.
Right, yeah. No, what we're doing now, somebody made a motion to move this question.
Okay.
And there was a second on that, and so we are moving now on the motion to move the question. Are we putting it on?
Point of information for the people who don't know. Can you explain what moving the question is?
I need to explain it to some people, because some people don't understand. And you got somebody that wants to.
Okay. When there's a motion to move the question and it's seconded, then immediately you move to the question and vote yes or no. Well, all I could do was who I saw and who I recognized. But yes, if this gentleman was standing? Okay.
I'm a resident of Auburn, Jerry Balayan, Precinct 4. Resident of Auburn, Jerry Balayan, Precinct 4. I own rental properties, not mobile homes, rental properties in Millbury and Worcester. And in the last 5 years, from COVID till now, my insurance premiums have doubled or tripled. My water bills, my tax bills. So if any entity who has to pay insurance, has to pay water, has to pay taxes, has to pay repair bills, has to pay maintenance bills, you're telling them when there is 100%, 200%, 300% increase in 5 years, they're not gonna raise their rents? Or you're gonna have another commission who's not gonna guarantee your insurance payments, who's not gonna guarantee your repair costs, who's not gonna guarantee anything, then you're gonna have dilapidated buildings. You're gonna have buildings that repairs are not being done in it. And then you're gonna have investors who are not willing to invest. If I'm investing in Auburn, I wouldn't want to invest somewhere where my costs are gonna go up 200, 300%, but my income is gonna stay the same. Thank you. I hope people vote no.
Are there any, oh, yeah.
Andrew Toth, Precinct 3, vote to move.
Vote to move on the question?
You want a vote to move the question?
Yeah.
All right.
I have a question.
We have a motion and a second to move the question. So, I guess, all those, huh? Yeah.
Point of order, I have a question.
Yeah, I know. Yes, you had a point of order?
He can speak under.
Point of order, could we hear from the attorney on what's happening procedurally?
I don't know. Do you know what was said?
So when you move the question, that means that the debate ends and the vote continues on the actual question. So there will be no more debate if this passes, and no more questions.
So right now, we're voting on moving the question. I guess everybody should vote.
Yep.
So then nothing.
Yes. So the motion to move the question has failed, which means that the discussion can continue.
So now we are debating the question. Yes, sir.
Matthew Denham, Precinct 2. So I guess my first question, it was brought up that this was first raised back in 2024. So my question is, it's 2 years, there's been several town meetings. I guess why wasn't a warrant article raised in those past 2 years? That's my first question. So it's kind of a two-parter, sorry. And then my second question is, it's been very well known that the two mobile home communities, Parakeet has been problematic, the Parakeet owners. But has there been any research done as to the other, because it looks like there's seven mobile home communities. Is there any problems with those other mobile home communities? I think if you looked at the pre-town meeting, there was a lot of strong support with the other communities in how this article might impact the other communities, because it sounds like there's a lot of family-owned communities and maybe even owner-owned communities. So if the town might be able to answer that, or even Mr. Rafferty, because I think we were supposed to do some research into how other communities are handling this type of article. So that's just my two-part question, whoever can answer that.
Okay. Mr. Rafferty, did you have something to say to that?
Sure, I'd be glad to. There was a lot there to unpack. But let me go back to briefly what the previous gentleman who was at this mic said. The rental control is not going to, is only going to impact mobile homes, not any other rental properties. And it also will not affect cooperative mobile homes, which I believe there's one in town named Winbrook. That they're cooperative, it doesn't touch that. And to answer your questions, if I can remember everything, and you can remind me if I missed something, first of all, I believe there's 5 parks in town. One of them is a cooperative, so that leaves 4, and 2 have been impacted by Parakeet. Yes, there was some support at pre-town meeting, but that was a handful of people that were brought in who said that they did not want their rent controlled. They were fine with the landlord being able to raise the rent as high as they wanted. It was just a handful of people. What else did you ask? I can't.
Really, my question was, has there been research into how rent control
Yes. Oh,
impacted
okay. Yes.
those family-owned?
Yeah.
Because from what I heard, there was one more family-owned
Yeah.
and/or operated community. You
Yes,
answered about the co-op. Sorry, I was just answering your question. So those family-owned and operated ones, so if they were limited to increasing rent, if they were impacted, if other corporations like Parakeet came in and took control of other family-owned.
Well,
So,
the rent control law, what it does is the town,
We'll have to hand that as a
the
town
the
meeting.
town establishes a rent control board. And what happens is a mobile home park owner comes to them with their bills. And they ask for money to pay all the bills and their expenses, and then they're entitled to show a profit. And the rental control board will decide whether it's reasonable or not. As far as the other communities that, who have been more reasonable than Parakeet, they're not gonna have a problem because they've been reasonable. So you go up before the rent control board and you say, here's my expenses and here's a reasonable amount of profit. They're not gonna have a problem. And by the way, the formula for determining the rent increases still has to be determined.
Okay, thank you.
After the home rule petition goes to the legislature and it comes back,
When I say
you folks are gonna be able to vote on bylaws, new bylaws that will determine what the formulas are. So you're gonna have some input on that, and you're gonna be able to determine what is a fair market increase in profit. But here's the problem. I sent out a video link to town meeting members showing what's been happening in a particular community in Florida. And what happens is these investment firms are coming in, they're scoffing up the property, just like they're buying single-family homes now, forcing people to bid against investment firms, and they can't possibly meet them. They can't possibly compete with them. What happens is the two parks that will be covered by this, yeah, they're being reasonable now, but if they decide to sell at a nice profit,
Yeah,
and
Mr.
they sell to
Rafferty, you're
Parakeet.
moving off topic, and I think there are other people that
Sure,
need to speak.
I'm sorry.
Mr. Chilton?
Eric Chilton, Precinct 4. I just wanted to clarify, we're voting now on this home rule petition to request a change to Massachusetts general law and not to adopt any specific bylaws for the town of Auburn. Those would be developed after this is approved, right?
Yeah, that's what I know.
Yes, so the petition would be submitted to the legislature for approval, and as stated here, it would allow the town to adopt bylaws at a later date. However, typically when you see a petition like this, it includes the parameters of those bylaws, which this does not do.
All right, thank you.
There's a lady up back that had her hand up, but it couldn't get down. If she wants to speak?
Yes, I thank you for your consideration. My name is Cheryl Gendro. I'm Precinct 3. I live in one of the said mobile home parks. I went around to the residents in the mobile home park that I live in because our landlord had gone around talking to the residents and got signatures. Well, it was brought up at the pre-meeting that people were intimidated or felt afraid that they needed to sign it. So I decided I'm gonna go around with another sheet, speaking individually to them. My other associate, Sue, who resides in the same park, on the days that I couldn't meet up with some people, she took it upon herself. She went and met with them. Today, before you, it was submitted with a list of signatures for the record of the people who, due to other obligations, or they just couldn't get here,
We're gonna have to.
they told me I could speak on their behalf. They are against it. And the reasons why, because we do not ever have a drastic rent increase. Our owners are upfront with us. Every year, when it comes to the end of the fiscal years, and we have leases with them, they break down. We spent X amount of dollars on paving, X amount of dollars on that. And they say, we're gonna go up by a certain amount. Fine, we don't have a problem with that because it's improving our park, it's keeping our value of our homes stable. And, you know, when I was a kid, I lived in a rent-control apartment with my mother and father. One day, the roof leaked. Okay, the landlord said, I'll take care of it. Well, lo and behold, we got another rainstorm. My mom's making, you know, stew. The ceiling fell in. The response by the landlord was, it only leaks when it rains.
Okay, yeah, that's all. Okay,
So,
I think
and
your 2 minutes is up.
I would at least ask you for a little more time because Mr. Rafferty approached you, and I would expect the same consideration if you don't mind. So in general, what I'm basically trying to tell your members that are voting on this, yes, I feel bad for the people in the other parts.
But this is what we voted for at this meeting on the time.
But the thing is, sir, you know, in closing, you know, what's happening in those two other parks should not affect us. I feel bad for them, and there are rules and regulations in the state of Massachusetts that govern mobile home parks, and the residents have the right of first refusal when it comes up to be sold. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay. Yes. Yes, sir.
So good evening. My name's Justin Stelmach. My family owns and operates several of these manufactured housing communities in town. And to kind of mirror on what Cheryl said, last week my father and I, we came to the pre-town meeting to talk about Article 26. We presented a petition signed by 100 of our residents that said we don't want this. Before that meeting, I received an email that said that if residents signed that letter, it was because we intimidated them and we strong-armed them. Then at that meeting, that same idea was repeated, where it was said that because we are the landlord, we have to ask whether we pressured them into signing it. So tonight, I want to address that directly, because what that suggests is that our residents' voices don't count. Clearly, Cheryl is here. We have a lot more residents here and some that couldn't be here. And that if they disagree with this article, then it must be because someone pressured them into doing it and not because they have their own ideas and can make their own decision. So I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that that's right. But to take a step back from that for a second, I want to go back to how this whole thing was brought up, and I spoke on this at pre-town meeting a little bit, that had Cheryl, that just spoke, not seen a post about this on Facebook, then what likely would have happened tonight is this whole thing would have gone to vote with no real input from us as owners or any of our residents. And to me, that's just completely not right. Because even today, I received an email from Parakeet, and it was from a resident at Whispering Pines who wanted it to be known that they are happy in the community. And why does that matter? Because it at least shows that there isn't just one viewpoint from the residents in Parakeet. There's obviously people here that are for rent control. So what I'm doing and what I would ask is that at a minimum, let's take a step back and let's think about this and listen to all the residents that matter and all the residents that this is going to affect if this gets voted on tonight. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that we said? Yeah, I know that. Yes.
All right. I just want to say, the thing that we're voting on tonight is asking the state to allow the town of Auburn to make its own bylaws, correct? So we would then have to have those bylaws reviewed by multiple committees within town. I am on the zoning bylaw review committee. I believe Eric Chilton, who also got up before, he's the chair of the zoning bylaw committee. This is not making any rules tonight. This is putting it before the town. I don't know if it's a zoning bylaw or a standard bylaw, but either way, this is gonna have to be reviewed. All this is doing is authorizing the town to take steps to implement a bylaw. There are no, like, limits on rent right now. There's no actual, like, step that's going to hurt any of the people who live in those parks or the people who own them at this point. You'll have opportunities to make public comment at those meetings and do whatever else you want to do. And town meeting will then have to vote on that bylaw to actually approve it. So all this is doing is allowing us to take the steps that will allow us to protect the people who live in those parks. And if you don't want to even investigate it, I guess go ahead and vote no. If you do, vote yes.
All right, next. Yes.
I have a really quick question, just kind of off of that. He's letting me go. Matthew Dunn, Precinct 2. This can be to the town or whoever, I guess. I think just off of that, because of all this question back and forth with bylaws, is it, oh. I'm a town meeting.
He's a town meeting
I'm a town
member.
meeting member. Do we really just vote on allowing the Mass General Law to be passed without any details in regards to bylaw, or would we be able to be more elaborative regarding the bylaw?
Yes.
Yeah, this is to the town
Just a
or
moment.
whoever could answer.
Yes, go ahead.
So the way this is worded, it would authorize the select board to petition the general court. Normally, when we have an article to petition the general court, it's just that the town petition the general court. So this puts it in the hands of the select board. But it does say for a special act as follows, which doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room here. In other municipalities that have adopted or have enacted a statute like this, you typically include duties or authority for that board that's being created. You have the ability to impose fines for violations. You have factors for considering when rate setting is appropriate. You have the application of open meeting law to that board, and you have an appeals provision included. This doesn't have any of that, and so I don't know that this would even pass as written at the state. And it's also not binding on the select board, because the select board would have to vote to then move it forward in this form or not at all. And so this is a non-binding vote for the town.
Thank you.
Danny Lodges, Precinct 4. For the past couple of years, if I'm not mistaken, and please, if there's a town official that can correct me, we've had the same situations at Mary D and JB. I know of one resident, it was 105 in his room, and the town couldn't really do anything about it because they're private owned. I feel bad for these people. I don't think we should be sticking our nose into real estate and telling landlords what they should do and what they shouldn't do. I feel bad, I really do. I talked to a bunch of people at 2 of the mobile home parks this past week, a bunch of them, and they all said they're happy, they're content. And I just went to different ones. So I just don't think the town should be getting involved in sticking our nose into people's rent and things. We wouldn't do it at Mary D, and we did not do it at JB. And they're running into the same exact problems, and people are getting evicted out of there. And I know one personally, so yes. Thank you.
Okay. Somebody asked to move the question. Is there a second on that?
He should get at the end of the line if he wants to move the question. He can't interrupt the line to move the question. If he wants to move the question, he should be at the end of the line.
No, he's not, no.
I hope he could hear me.
Okay.
As with any democracy,
There is good, there's bad, there's for us, and there's against us. But there has to be an even channel. Somebody has to protect us. We pay taxes to the town of Auburn. And the guy, my name is Joanne Markarian, and I live at Whispering Pines, and I've lived there for 20 years. So I know what goes on. And we do pay taxes to the town of Auburn. There is no management company there. If there is, none of us ever hear from them. We never get a telephone number. We don't even know where they are, where they're located, and who they are. I did finally get a name from the property owner manager somewhere in Florida. And if I need anything or want anything about weather or things that have happened in the park, I do call him. And he refers everything to some general manager whom we never hear from. We have no idea what's going on. And all I can say is that he did send a letter around to us recently because he did raise the rent. And he's telling us we have to pay more taxes. So I think the town of Auburn owes us some consideration, some recognition, maybe some protection, however you want to vote on it, however you want to put it together. And if you want to call me, my phone's listed in the telephone book. Thank you.
Yeah.
Doug Nelson, nope. Thank you, Chief. Precinct 2. Back in 1969, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts passed law, Chapter 40B, in which it was designed to increase affordable housing by allowing developers to bypass local zoning bylaws if at least 20 to 25% of units in a project are income restricted. Yet here the Commonwealth is saying we need to provide these people with help because they're unaffordable or, they need the assistance for their housing, low income or affordable housing. So the state is very inconsistent with this, and on that alone, I think people should just say no and send this back to the state. On top of that, do we really need another board in town, as Mr. Largess was referring to at this time, to oversee private contracts and transactions done between two different private parties? Is there any need for that? There are protections in place right now, according to some other people that have spoken at the pre-town meeting, and there are protections in place which would apply to the parakeet, whichever it is, park dwellers, but for those individuals that said this, they can speak on this if they so choose. But I think town council even just, mentioned a little bit on that as well. There's already protections out there for these people, whether it be civil suits or lawsuits or other actions, that are protecting these people in the parks. So I think, we should rely on that as of right now. I'm not seeing, this huge outcry, and it's very much out of the blue here. I think the whole town should step back and gather more info on this before proceeding further. So I would strongly vote no on this.
All right.
Sean Parody, Precinct 5. I think this deserves its own meeting, and I move to motion to postpone this indefinitely.
A motion to
Mr. Baker?
Definitely. There is a second? All right, there's a motion to postpone indefinitely, and it's been seconded.
Until after we have a town meeting.
Right, so we're going to vote. The motion is to postpone indefinitely. It has been seconded. It will now be voted. Oh, they've got to create a slide. Couldn't we just raise hands? No, I know. Yes, I know. No. And if this motion goes through, that would postpone, at this point, discussion on this issue. We're ready to vote, I guess. Now. You can vote now. The motion here is to postpone indefinitely.
Point of order.
Yes?
According to Google, you cannot bring a motion twice in the same meeting. This is a repeat. You made the motion to move the question twice.
Where's town council?
Right here.
Okay.
Okay.
So he is correct, the current motion has not been voted on, and so we have to vote on the current motion, which would do the same thing. So it would be to move the question again, or we vote on the current motion.
So what is the motion?
So the motion was,
No, they're going to vote on now.
so
They're not going to vote?
it was taken out of order, so it was improper. So we have a current motion on the floor that's being debated.
And that's on the question itself.
On the question itself, I move to direct and authorize the select board to petition the general court.
So in other words, the people that want to speak on it, they now speak because we can't.
Yeah.
Because we can't do the same thing again.
My name's Mike. I live in one of the trailer parks.
You're not coming across on the mic, sir.
My name's Mike. I live in one of the trailer parks. I've been fighting with Parakeet for 2 years for Board of Health issues. The Board of Health has, with the new park manager, has been having a hard time getting a hold of them. I also have health issues. I mentioned to my park manager. So, I mean, they're not doing the job even with the Board of Health saying something to them. I understand there's a lot of people out here that they don't listen to as well. So, I mean, last year, I fell in my bathroom, cracked ribs. The fire department, the police department, and the ambulance department last February took me out of my place. They had to carry me because the park didn't even shovel or salted my sidewalk. I had 3 feet from the stairs all the way to the road. The ambulance said it would be safer to carry him out of my place. I woke up in the hospital 4 days later because they turned around and decided to put me in a coma.
Okay, sir, we'll have to go to the next person now, I think.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I spoke point of order. Why didn't we move on the postponement? There's a motion on the floor, is there not?
Yes. No.
I mean, section 39, it says all you need to do is rise to a point of order.
Excuse me, you haven't been recognized, sir. You have, sir.
I don't need to be recognized for a point of order.
Oh, he said point of order?
Yeah.
Well, then come down so we can hear what you're saying.
Hi, Jeff, Precinct 1, Labonte. I'm just looking for clarification on why we didn't, we started to vote on the postponement indefinitely, and then we stopped, and I'm not sure why. I heard there's something about out of order, but it was not. It was presented by the speaker, right out of the book.
We have no idea.
It's on page 91, town meeting time. Section 39.
Yeah, no, I know.
My book is right there.
Huh?
My book is right here.
Yeah, well, and there's one right here too. I mean, I haven't gone, I'll never forgive you.
Mr. Baker, can I go?
That's right, 26.
That's what we're debating.
That's right, we are debating Article 26.
Can I just slang it? It's our rules, town meeting time.
All right, sir.
Good evening, I'm Joseph Hotspot, I live at 3 Washington Street, Unit 45.
You gotta speak into it.
I'm Joseph Hotspot, I live at 3 Washington Street, Unit 45. I'm here tonight not for myself and my family, but also on behalf of my neighbors who oppose rent control and tell you that we do not want this regulation brought to our community. We were never informed about this by the town, and we don't think it's right that this vote can happen without a bigger conversation that includes all the people it would affect. The person that started this petition said he was doing this for the community residents, but never came to us and asked us what we wanted. We choose to live in Marty's because we like it here, we like the way the Stomacs manage our community, and we do not think it's right that the situation with one bad owner should drive a decision for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am, you next.
My name's June Gramatic, and Precinct 3, and I live in Mara Vista, and I do not want, or anybody in my park, all agree not to have rent control. Our landlord takes care of us for every need that we have, and he's very fair to us, informs us about any kind of rent that will go up a year in advance. We're very happy in our park, and we don't want rent control. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Beth Lazarus, Precinct 5. Can everyone hear me? All right, 22 other towns have rent increase control in Massachusetts, and I think that's correct. I'm not positive. I didn't plan to speak today. But it's very important when someone like Parakeet exploits all these elderly people. You are going to see so many elderly people have to sell or get displaced out of their homes that they can't possibly get their money back for. As soon as everyone knows, and every real estate agent knows in this town, that no one's buying where Parakeet is because they want $1,153 a month for a little plot that we already all own our own homes in Whispering Pines Estates. Now, American is another one where they have renters, and their renters are being charged exorbitant amounts of rent. Now, I know these other mobile home parks are getting fair market value rents. That's all we're looking for. So, but it has to pass or not pass just for us to not have Parakeet exploit us for profit. All they're doing is looking for profit from elderly people. There's so many elderly people in this park, and they aren't going to survive it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
We need the rent increase control to be researched and just form the committee and then see what Parakeet is doing. And like everyone said, you can't get a hold of them. They don't care about the human being at all. They just want profit. The rest of the town is probably fine, and that wouldn't affect you other people at all. You would have the same rents. We just have exorbitant ones.
All right, ma'am.
Thank you.
Norman Flash, Precinct 2, and again, I'm speaking in favor of moving forward with this article, at least to investigate and see what's going on. I know people that live in these. I have family that live in one of them, and their rents they're on fixed income. They're elderly, some, but most of them are on fixed incomes, and it makes it harder to get these increases and get them through. So I hope we will at least take the time to pass through and investigate what we're going to be doing.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Anthony Russo. I live in Southwest Community, one of the parks.
Make sure you could be heard, but you have to speak into it.
Can I get closer? How's that? There we go. Yeah. Hi, my name's Anthony Russo. I live in Southwest Community, one of the mobile home parks, not the ones affected by Parakeet. I have owners that are fair I've never had any problems. I've lived there 4 years. This is something that needs to be thought out, not decided in one night. There are a lot of factors here. It needs to be thought out, no rush decisions, because we were not told anything about this by Mr. Rafferty. So this is all new to us. He didn't come to our park or tell us anything about it or send any literature. So I ask all of you, please, postpone it. Let's think about it. Let's get more research on this because it's not fair to everybody else. The parakeet parks, I feel very bad for. I've read about other places in the country that that's happened to, but this is not something to jump the boat on. This needs to be thought out. We need information. We need everything like that.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm taking your point of order, and so the motion to indefinitely postpone was interrupting the main motion, and so we can go forward with that vote.
Okay. What's your point of order?
Yes.
The point of order that was raised a minute ago. We can put the slide back up to indefinitely postpone and vote on that.
The motion to postpone indefinitely?
Yes.
So, okay, we can vote on the motion to postpone indefinitely, I think. Is that correct?
Yes, but we need to vote the slide for it.
You have to.
I need to do a slide.
Okay, we're going to do a vote on the motion to postpone indefinitely, but in order to do it, we need a slide. So you're going to have to wait a moment or two or slide up and down the aisle, whatever, till we get a slide. Is that what we're doing? We're all set. You may vote now. So the vote is to postpone indefinitely or not. I guess I can leave now, can't I? Okay, sure, that's fine. Okay. All right, the vote is 65 yes, 14 no, and 6 abstentions. Okay? Good. Yes, a postpone to indefinitely.
I'm going to thank you. I'll thank you. Thank you. I thank Ms. Assistant Moderator for taking that. After checking with ethics, it was a last minute thing and I had to recuse. We have one more article to go. I thank everyone for their attention on this. We have one more article to go. Mrs. Ethia, Article 27.
I rise to a point of privilege.
Mr.
Point of privilege?
Yes.
Might I request maybe a 3-minute recess while we let these people exit so we can hear?
Okay.
Do we have to vote on that?
We'll do the 2-minute recess. Here, go ahead. Hit the clock. We're in a recess for 2 minutes just so that we can clear the room and hear. And then we will have one article left. I thank everyone for your attention to this tonight. If you can move to the hallway, please, so that we can finish. Please take the conversation just out to the hallway. Thank you. We have one article left, Mr. Murray. Mr. Murray has made a motion to dissolve without handling Article 27. Is there a second? Okay, we have to vote on it. A motion to dissolve before we finish our last article. Yeah. You ready? We're ready to vote whether we dissolve without handling the last article. Please vote. This is a majority vote. I'm sorry. No, Norman LaFlash. We can, and we'll record Mr. LaFlash manually?
Yes.
Okay. Six, 76, and one abstention. We'll move to Article 27.
Article 27, I move that the town meeting vote to allocate an additional $550,000 from free cash to the roadway improvement CIP account 421 Highway Division DPW, with said amount intended to fully fund paving of at least 3 miles of road based on DPW cost estimate of $130 per linear foot, and additional money for permanent patching of chronic pothole locations and other roadway deficiencies.
I have a second. This is a petition by Mr. Corain, outside of the Board of Selectmen, just as an individual. Does anyone have any questions? Comment? Would you like to vote? We shall vote. Norm. And I thank everyone for their patience tonight. I think we still did a good job. And this is what representative town meeting is all about. These people, everyone should have been reaching out to their town meeting members, talking to their town meeting members. You ready? So Article 27 passes 74 with one marked manually, 8 no and 2 abstentions. A motion to dissolve. We have a motion to dissolve in a second. Does anybody want to chat about it? All those in favor? Thank you so much. Your participation in Representative